Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. What we're going to make is a cake, but this particular cake has no refined sugar in it. It is basically just sweetened with dried fruit. What's great about it is that you can combine dried raisins, dark or golden. You can add prunes if you like dried prunes, or you can actually use dried dates. So it's going to be up to you what you might have in your pantry or your refrigerator or what you prefer. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using raisins and prunes. But I will explain if you want to incorporate to use dates, all three of them, that type of thing, okay? Now, I no longer put the recipe below the video anymore, and I'm sorry about that, but I will hopefully go clearly enough and slowly enough that you can jot it down. Now, once again, could you call this cake sugar-free? Well, I guess you could call it technically, yet some people are going to write to me and say, yes, but there's natural sugar in these dried fruits, and indeed they do. But this is a recipe for someone that's looking where there's no refined sugar in it. It's not going to be a sugary cake. It's not going to be super sweet, but it's a healthy cake. So if you're looking for something with very sugary type of cake, maybe this isn't the one, but please check out my channel because I have over 800 videos on cakes and cookies and breads and pizzas and you name it. So please, if this isn't for you, please check out my channel. Now, what we're going to do is first we're going to really start blending the butter, and I particularly am using about 1.5 cups of butter. If you like a richer cake, go ahead and use 2 sticks. Otherwise, what I'm doing is I'm using 1.5 sticks of butter. Now, if you don't have butter or you prefer margarine, because some people do not like butter, go ahead and use margarine. But again, I use 1.5 sticks. If you like a richer cake where you can taste more of the butter, go ahead and use 2 sticks. But I prefer making the cake with 1.5 sticks of butter that's been at room temperature, and I cut it up into small pieces so that it will blend easily. Now, you can use your hand mixer if you prefer. I use the stand-up because it's a lot quicker and it doesn't take you as long to watch the video. All right, so I'm going to turn my mixer on, warn you about the sound, okay? Because it can be loud on your end. And I'm just going to really break up this butter that's been sitting out. And again, it bears repeating. I have 1.5 sticks of butter. So here we go. Okay, now definitely cream your butter. Make sure that it's well beaten and that type of thing. And it might take you, depending on your speed, whether it's a hand mixer or a stand, whatever it will take, okay? But again, I'm moving it along for the video, okay? The next thing that I'm going to be putting in is actually, I think I'm going to start with the dried fruits because I want to tell you about them. Right here, I have prunes. Now, what I did was I cut many of them into halves. The larger ones, I cut them into thirds. It's up to you. If I like the cake, so when you bite into it, you get more of a piece of dried fruit. If you don't like that, then chop it more finely. That's going to be up to you. But like I said, the larger pieces I cut into 3s, and the average size prune, I cut them into 2, equal. That kind of thing, okay? So what you're going to use is 1.5 cups of, as I mentioned, prunes. And I'm going to just put those in with the butter, okay? Now, I'm also going to put in 1.5 cups of raisins. Again, you could use, you know, the golden raisins, the dark, the light, whatever that you prefer, feel free. But I'm putting 1.5 cups of dried raisins. All right. And I'm just going to turn the mixer on again just to blend it with the butter. And in doing that, all the prunes and the raisins all, you know, get mixed in with that butter, all right? All right, the next thing that I'm gonna be putting in is the, well, I like to call it the oatmeal flour. I use actually quick oats, and then I grind them in my processor. If you don't, again, if you don't want to do that, you can use regular oats and just grind them into whatever type of powder, the consistency that you want. I try to use the quick oats because they're already smaller pieces, and so when I grind it, it becomes more of like a flour, that kind of thing. But you can use your regular oatmeal, but I would suggest to, you know, to grind it in your processor so it becomes where you're, in other words, you're using this oatmeal as oatmeal flour, okay? Made a little bit of mess here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be putting in 2.5 cups of that oatmeal quick oats that was ground into flour for me. So it's a powdery substance, okay? Now, the next thing I'm gonna be putting in is 4 eggs, and you can beat them. You don't have to beat them real well, but you know, I slightly beat them, and that's 4. So I'm gonna put that into the dry with all the fruit. All right. I'm also going to be putting in vanilla, and I'm going to be putting in, excuse me, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm also going to be putting in a teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of baking soda. And I'm putting in 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, but I like a lot of cinnamon, so I put just a little bit more, but you want to just stay at the minimum 1 teaspoon of that, okay? And now I'm just going to start to mix it. And then I'm going to slowly start putting in water. Now, on the water, again, I know it sounds like a lot of directions, but I think the cake is worth it, the time that it will take you to make it. Start off in your bowl, cool water, and I put 2 cups in. I might not use it all. I go just to see how much is absorbed and that what it's going to form the batter that I'm looking for. So, but do start off with 2 cups and just put it in slowly. If you find that that's too much and you think the batter is at a better, you know, it looks better to you, then stop. I'm going to wipe up here a little bit. And I can see it could use just a little bit more. And then just stay with it till you mix everything in. You don't want to overbeat it. You just want to blend it. Okay, and as you see, I had water left over. You will be the judge. It really depends how you grind that oatmeal. Okay, so that's why I'm telling you, just to try to just put it in that you know you've moistened it well enough, so you don't want the batter too watery is what I'm trying to say, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just take my paddle out here and set that aside. and then with my large spatula, I'm just going to give it a good stir. And as I pour it into my 13 by 9, I just actually took an oil spray and sprayed my pan. You can use parchment if you prefer. And then as you see the cake going in, you can see, I hope with the camera, the consistency. It will be a wet batter, but it's not overly wet. And you can, again, as this is pouring out, I hope you can see the consistency. So add your water accordingly of what it looks like to you, that you don't want the batter too watery, okay? And I'm going to just take out the excess here. All right, and I'll set that aside. Now, you're going to bake this at 350 degrees, and it could take you anywhere from 25 minutes to 35 to even 40 minutes. It really depends on your ovens. And you know, all our ovens set up so differently. You would know best as far as that. And then test it with a cake tester or a toothpick, that kind of thing. And if you touch the top, it will lightly, you know, push back on you and that type of thing to know that it's done. You don't want to over bake this cake because you don't want it dry. You really don't. You want it because the dried fruits, again, just, well, trust me on it. Don't over bake the cake because I don't think you're going to like it, okay? All right, now I'm going to rinse my hands quickly. We talked about the temperature and the time and the 350. Well, I will tell you though is to please allow this cake to cool before you try to start cutting it, because it will actually just break up. And the integrity of the cake, well, you're not going to enjoy it, or let alone serve it to people. So please let it cool down, that kind of thing, before you start cutting it and removing it from your pan to plating. Now, I'm going to just rinse my hands and wash them quickly because I was working with eggs. All right, and I want to show you what it looks like once it's baked up. Yes, at first glance it does. It looks as if a healthy cake, okay? It's not going to be your run-of-the-mill cake. Now, I cut this into squares. I don't know whether you're going to be able to see the prunes and the raisins. And keep in mind, you can always use dates too. All right. Now, what I also did was I just cut a piece up smaller to show you and to break it apart. When you break this open, it will be a moist, not super dry, especially if you don't over bake it. It's going to be moist. It's going to be about medium in the texture of the inside. It will have a semi-hard top and bottom, but again, when you squeeze the cake, you'll see its moistness. It's not real heavy. It's not extremely light. Just about medium texture. And here's another piece too. You'll see all that beautiful fruit that's inside of it. It's a healthy treat. It's a healthy cake. It might not be as sweet as you like it. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I just want to give you a heads up. But you can see as I'm pressing on this cake square how moist it is. And it melts in your mouth. It is absolutely a great tasting, healthy choice. If you're looking for breakfast along with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, you know, there's many uses. If you want to sweeten it, you could always glaze it with a powdered sugar glaze or powdered sugar, sift some on top of it. There's many uses, or even with sliced strawberries. Oh, this cake is really great. But again, allow it to cool, okay? So, but that'll give you an idea what it will look like, okay? Once it's baked up, all right? So, reminder again, if you want to altogether, you'll want to use at least 3 cups of dried fruits. However that you want to use the type of fruits, that's the amount that it all adds up to, that you want at least a total of 3 cups of dried fruits. Well, that's it for me today. If you like this recipe, please let me know and write to me. If you do write to me, please watch me and write to me on YouTube. Otherwise, I probably won't get your question or your comment. If you're so inclined and you'd like to subscribe, well, I can't thank you enough, or give the video a like. I always want to thank you for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.